Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. Today, let's talk about something that most people completely underestimate: a single drop of water. One drop doesn't look like much. You could stare at it all day and think it's doing nothing. But if that drop keeps falling over and over, eventually it'll fill a cup, then a bucket, and then a barrel. And today I want to show you how that same exact idea can apply to stacking silver and gold. Because the truth is, you don't need to go all in at once. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to chase the market. You just need a steady drip. I usually have a shout out to the first comment on my last video, but it looks like my last video for some reason is not showing me any comments, so unfortunately we're going to have to skip that today. But if you haven't seen my video, please go check it out. Every Saturday I make a market report based on the weekly closes, so definitely go check that out. Today we're going to be revisiting one of the most important principles I've ever learned in stacking: the slow, steady drip. But this time we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about why this strategy works, how it changes everything for me personally, how it protects you from making costly mistakes, and what it actually looks like in today's market. Right now, silver is sitting around $72 per ounce, and that means we can actually take a real map of what this would look like and how consistent stacking looks if you were to start today. And before we talk about the success, let's talk about failure. Because I didn't start with the slow drip. I actually did the opposite. When I first started getting into stacking, I went all in. I was excited, I saw the value, and I understood the long-term vision. And I thought that the best move was to build my stack as fast as possible. So I bought, and I bought, and I bought. And for a short period of time, I felt really great. My stack was growing quickly, but then a reality hit. Bills came up, life happened, and expenses didn't stop just because I wanted to stack metal. And because I overextended myself, I had to sell. Not just a portion of my stack, my entire stack, within the first couple months. And that was one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had, because I realized something important. It wasn't that stacking didn't work, it was that I did it wrong. That moment forced me to learn budgeting, discipline, and financial awareness. And that's when everything changed. That's when I discovered the slow, steady drip. On the surface, the slow drip is simple. Instead of going all in, you go consistently. Instead of buying big, you buy often. And instead of chasing ounces, you build habits. At first, it will feel small. Maybe you're buying one silver round, a couple of quarters, or maybe a fractional gold piece, and it doesn't feel like much. But here's where most people miss it. Consistently beats intensity every single time. Because when you buy consistently, you remove the pressure, you stay within your budget, and more importantly, you keep what you have. That's the difference. Anyone can build a stack quickly, but not everyone can keep it. So let's put some real numbers into this. Right now, silver is around $72 an ounce. Let's say someone was to start today with a simple plan of $100 a month. That $100 would earn about 1.3 to 1.4 ounces per month after premiums. And after about a year, that would be 16 ounces. After 5 years, 80 ounces. And over 10 years, 160 ounces. So what about $200 a month? Well, 2.5 to 3 ounces. That's 30 ounces a year, 150 ounces in 5 years, and 300 ounces in 10 years. And that is without increasing your budget. Of course, the market's going to be moving up and down. It's not going to be that clean cut every time. But this is going to create a regular purchase that you're going to be buying without trying to time the market, without the stress of looking at charts, without the stress of should I buy now or later? Should I try to wait a day? Should I be buying now or should I have bought before? Without the stress, just consistency. That's the drip that fills the bucket. A lot of stackers out there are just waiting. They'll watch the charts and they'll think, oh, silver's going to drop. I'll wait. Silver's rising. I'll wait for a dip. Or this isn't the right time. And what happens? They get stuck. Or worse, they finally decide to buy during a dip. They go to their coin shop and the premiums are higher, or inventory is low, or the price has already bounced. So they end up most likely paying the same amount anyway. And that's the hidden truth. They're not just buying at the spot price. They're buying premiums. They're trying to time it with the market and fix it with availability. And those factors often cancel out your perfect timing. Meanwhile, the person who's using a slow drip, there's no stress about the timing, there's no second guessing, there's no missed opportunities because they're always in the shop buying. So how do you actually do this? It's quite simple. Step 1 is set a fixed budget. This should come from your income, not your savings. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever fits your lifestyle. For me, I started bi-weekly because that's when I was getting paid. I got a new job and now I started getting paid weekly, so now I buy every week. Because it's that simple. It becomes a habit. So step 2, stick to your schedule, not the price. You don't wait for the dips, don't chase the spikes, you just buy. Step 3, buy what you enjoy. Rounds, coins, junk silver, fractional gold. If you like it, you're going to stick with it. That being said, if you are a true beginner to stacking, you want things that are going to be highly recognized and easily liquid. Find out what is respected the most wherever you are choosing to buy, because that is most likely where you're going to go to sell if you ever need to. If they really respect American Eagles, definitely buy those. If they really respect generic rounds, definitely buy those. If they do respect junk silver or fractional gold or anything else that you might like, definitely stack those. What I would stay away from as a beginner are the semi-numismatic pieces that are going to cost you a little bit more, but you're not going to receive that premium when you go to sell. And that's what I mean by respect. If there's possibly a proof silver eagle that costs a little bit extra, but when you take it back to the shop, they buy it back as a regular eagle, then that's not a great bet. An optional step 4 is to use the gold to silver ratio. When silver is relatively cheap to gold, then lean to silver. When gold is relatively cheap to silver, then lean gold. You don't have to overcomplicate it. A lot of people talk about trading the gold to silver ratio. You don't have to think about any of that if you're just beginning. All you need to do is consistently buy. Once you have a really large foundation set, then all of that is going to start to make sense to you anyway. Something a lot of people don't talk about is market watching burnout. If you're consistently watching the market, asking, should I buy today? What if it drops tomorrow? Is this the absolute top? You will definitely be burning out fast because you're turning stacking into stress. But the slow drip eliminates that completely. You don't think about when to buy. You already know. It's on your schedule. It's automatic. And it becomes a part of your life, not a decision you have to make every day. And that's where consistency becomes effortless. Now, let's zoom out. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, what does this actually become? That small $100 or $200 monthly habit, it turns into hundreds of ounces of silver, a real tangible reserve, a hedge against the uncertainty. But more than that, it becomes a discipline. It becomes financial awareness, and it becomes control, because you're not reacting to the world. You're building something steadily within it. And over time, that quiet, steady effort becomes something very powerful. So let's bring this back to the beginning, the drip. One drop doesn't look like much, but over time it will fill that bucket. And that's exactly what your stack does. Not overnight, not instantly, but steadily, reliably, and predictably. So if you learned anything from this video, let it be you don't need to go all in. You don't need to time the market, and you don't need to rush. Just start the drip, stay consistent, and trust the process. Because one day you're going to be looking back and realize that every purchase that felt small built something real. I just made my own line of coffee. Joseph's Reserves It's Today Again coffee. Most mornings aren't dramatic. They're quiet. You wake up, pour yourself a cup, and now you have a choice. drift through the day, or take hold of what's in front of you. That's really what this whole thing's about. Showing up, building good habits, staying disciplined in the small things. Whether that's stacking consistently, learning something new, or just being faithful with what you've been given. I put these words on every bag to remind myself first. Every morning is a gift. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. So take a breath, take a sip, and let's get to work. It's today again. You can now write me at Joseph's Reserves, 10160 Highway 242, Suite 800, number 401 in Conroe, Texas, zip code 77385. Make sure to include your information so I can write you back. If you liked today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Go into the comment section for any questions or comments, or to catch up with those you've met in the community. Share the video to anyone you think may like it, and subscribe if you haven't already. But most of all, thank you so much for watching. And just remember, every ounce adds up. So no matter how small, just keep stacking.